whole thing started with a student agitation for the reservation. Now, that is a point of worry that what did transpire.
It has been a combination of multiple factors.
Those things are cause for worry, not only for Bangladesh, but for us as being the largest neighboring country.
Can we say in this pro or anti-reservation movement of students, was it taken over by anti-India and specifically anti-Sheikh Hasina forces?
We have to have a very good intelligence to understand what are the forces behind these kind of fronts.
Namaskar friends, welcome to another podcast of India Dialogue by ICPRD, India Center for Policy Research and Development. My name is Rajat Mishra and today we are having Group Captain Vishwajit Kumar, who is National Advisor of ICPRD in Strategic Affairs and Aviation. Today our point of discussion is Bangladesh, which has been the most talked about topic in this particular month. On 5th of August, long-term Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Ms. Sheikh Hasina, resigned and fled to India. The events before and after that has created turmoil in Bangladesh and around it. So what do you think are the main reasons behind this?
Rajat, if you look at the developments of past few days, I would say a month or so, preceding 5th of August when she left Bangladesh, and even afterwards, the whole thing started with a student agitation for the reservation, basically. They were demanding withdrawal of reservation, which was being given to the families of 71 war independence of Bangladesh, which they were protesting that this percentage is very high, it needs to be rolled back. However, even the Supreme Court agreed to their demand and reduced the reservation levels to only 5% for those families of 71
freedom
fighters
yes.
And 2% for the handicapped person.
Right.
So that was quite reasonable. If you find that 93% reservation being given for the meritorious people and only 7% for the reservation class, that would be one of the best, I would say, for any nation to have. However, as things moved beyond that, you will find instead of agitation cooling off, it again rebounded after 2-3 days. So, and that forced Hasina, as news portals reported, that she was advised by the army to leave Bangladesh within about 45 minutes of time. Now, that is a point of worry that what did transpire and what made things deteriorate so badly that agitation which was for rollback of reservation turned out to be agitation for complete removal of Hasina.
Right, sir.
So there are very many factors which has been working behind the scene. As the days are passing by, a lot of things are emerging, internal as well as external. Those things are cause for worry, not only for Bangladesh but for us as being the largest neighboring country, India. We have a lot to worry about because things are such disturbing that even we cannot be left aside. We will also be affected because Bangladesh being a neighboring country and culturally, socially so well integrated with us. So therefore, the reasons for her to have left Bangladesh is almost quite clear now. There are very many factors within the Bangladesh, like post 71 war, where a certain group of people have never accepted that kind of rule by Hasina's party, because there are two main parties in Bangladesh, Awami League and BNP, and they have been totally at loggerheads, 180 opposite. Right. So with that kind of dynamics of the two parties, there is a vertical divide within the people also. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, there are certain group which is called terrorist group like Jamaati and others, similar like-minded parties, who are minor in number, small in number, but they have a lot of nuisance value. That is there. But the most important factors which is now emerging is that ISI, Pakistan, which has been nursing grudge from 71 onwards, that the Pakistan was dismembered by
Right.
giving independence to Bangladesh. So they have had that kind of desire to create disturbance in Bangladesh, and more so for a government which has been pro-India. And of course, the US angle is also coming out, that the Prime Minister has hinted enough. The other leaders have also talked about enough. So these things do happen in international relations, but to what extent is what we are seeing now, that it destabilized the government which was ruling for 15 years, brought in a lot of development in Bangladesh,
Right.
and still the government of the day had to leave the office, and which will require a lot of studies in times to come. But yes, on the face of it, there were a lot of internal as well as external forces which forced Hasina to leave the country after such good rule as far as the Awami League is concerned. And as far as India is concerned also, we have had the best of the times with Bangladesh.
Right. So, what you are saying is it has been a combination of multiple factors. Some of those were pro-Pakistani, pro-ISI, some were communal in their nature because they were opposing secular rule of Sheikh Hasina, and other external factors such as CIA cannot be ruled out. So, can we say in this pro or anti-reservation movement of students, was it taken over by anti-India and specifically anti-Sheikh Hasina forces, and then they completely stormed ahead with it?
Yeah, if you look at the developments of last few years in our Indian subcontinent, start with Afghanistan, then you saw Pakistan,
Right.
Sri Lanka, and now Bangladesh. The kind of modus operandi of these some kind of agitations which starts off is as a soft front, like a student agitations, farmers agitation, or some civil society coming up with certain issues. But however, during the course of agitation, it takes a violent form, which is not a very healthy sign. It's in a way, it is a very worrying sign.
Right.
And therefore, as a country, what we need to guard against is that these kind of agitations when happen, that we have to have a very good intelligence to understand what are the forces behind these kind of fronts. Like suddenly from a very soft front, it becomes the way Bangladesh things turned for worse. Nobody anticipated that kind of a turnaround. Everybody expected post Supreme Court judgment that the government will sit with them and talk to them, and things will gradually cool off. However, it rebounded in a manner with the intensity that nobody expected, and so much so that the Prime Minister had to leave the country
Right.
at such a short notice of about 45 minutes, which came up in the news.
Right.
So therefore, there is a lot behind what all is happening in our subcontinent, because of the various forces working all the time, all over, internally as well as externally. So we have to be very clear in dealing with these kind of situations, and that is only possible if we have a very solid on-ground input, which will only ensure the government of the day to know how to handle them and tackle them.
So you're talking about intelligence. So can we say it has been a failure of MEA and intelligence agencies of India, or to say the least, a setback for them?
See, if you look at the Indo-Bangladesh relation of last about 15 years of Hasina's rule, you will find that we have had best of the time.
Right.
In terms of our security. Our entire Northeast India, which was disturbed by very many terrorist organizations, they were all well controlled, almost made peaceful. That was not possible until unless the government of Bangladesh of the day helped the Indian authorities. So that was a shining example. Then we have had cooperation in the sector of power, energy, about 1200 megawatt of power we are exporting to Bangladesh. Then multimodal transport, where a train, bus service through Bangladesh to Agartala and from Dhaka to Calcutta. So if you look at
Waters, land boundary agreements,
yes,
multiple
and
things.
that enclaves, there
Right.
were about 400
Land
plus
boundary.
enclaves which was pending since independence.
Yes.
They were very mutually and peacefully exchanged. So a lot of things were happened in last about 15 years between India and Bangladesh, which was very pleasing for both the countries.
Right.
However, notwithstanding all that, the things turned for so bad. Many people in the country would vouch for it, that this is not in the interest of the country. And if something which is not in the interest of the country and we have been caught off guard, then there is something to really worry about. It's something very serious. So our security establishments, our intelligence agencies will have to recalibrate, sit and think where we went wrong, if at all we went wrong. But on the face of it, as it emerges from the news that yes, we could not salvage the situation. That is a fact. Because if our best Prime Minister of Bangladesh, we could not save her office for whatever reasons, then it is a setback. We cannot deny. So, keeping that in mind, I think our agencies will have to really sit and analyze what went wrong, where we went wrong, how things took for such a worse, and we could not visualize the way things turned out finally.
Right.
So there is a lot to be analyzed, studied, and recalibrate that these kind of situations do not happen in future. And our national interest and regional interest is safeguarded at any cost. That will be the, of course, the final thing in the interest of our nation.
Right.
So we have to do a lot of introspection, recalibration, and see wherever there have been shortcomings. And I'm sure these agencies will sit and will take care of those shortcomings.
Right. So when you're talking about national interest, so what are the implications of this particular event happening for specifically for India?
The implications are many. At domestic front as well as internationally, if you see those things that were listed, like our security relationship between the two countries. Now, if tomorrow we have a government of the day in Bangladesh, which is not as amenable to what was till 5th of August, then probably again those terrorist organizations which used to operate for all these years in Northeast will start raising their head again. Then you see there is a large number of Hindu population even in Bangladesh, about 1 crore plus.
Right.
Their interest is at the moment they are in a lot of trouble, turmoil. They are under attack. Their places of worship is under attack, which is not a very peaceful thing for us. That is quite bothering. That is one. Second, our trade and commerce, which almost rose to about 18 billion US dollars, has come to a standstill for the time being. So you take it a security scenario of our northeast, or even within the mainland, where many Bangladeshi agencies operatives were caught in the mainland also. So the security, the trade and commerce, then multimodal transport that we have established, rail connectivity, bus service and all that, which has been of enormous help to our people in northeast, who have to go through chicken neck. So a lot of time saving, resource saving. So all these things are there, which is going to affect us adversely. At the same time, internationally also, as a neighbor, our Honorable Prime Minister have given this policy that never first, and therefore you find that we do our best as not as an elder brother, but as a helping brother, that we try and take care of their requirements at any given point in time. You saw in Sri Lanka's case, they went through economic hardship. We were the first to call on and help them as much as possible with resources, with finances, everything. So therefore, the Indian subcontinent, India being the largest country and a democratic country, it directly becomes important for us that our neighborhood is peaceful. Because if the neighborhood is peaceful and we progress together, that is the best for the people of both the countries. Therefore, this development is going to affect us domestically also and internationally also. Why? Because in today's multipolar world, India is also, because of its economic growth, is becoming one of the poles. Right. We are becoming a leader of the South. And therefore, how we handle our neighborhood is going to reflect on our international position also. Therefore, we are mindful of our responsibility, and we have to see to it that the setbacks in Bangladesh are quickly taken care of, and it doesn't adversely affect our domestic as well as international relation in times to come.
Right. So what we see from these situations, there are multiple players and multiple stakeholders. Obviously, we have talked about Pakistan angle, China angle, USA angle. Other than that, obviously, inside Bangladesh, there are multiple forces which are working on this. And eventually, the new interim government and the people of Bangladesh and people of India will be stakeholder in that. In all of these scenario, and you have also talked about multipolar world, what should be the way forward for India in a short term and also medium to long term?
Way forward is, as you rightly said, the multifaceted. We have to take care of our domestic requirements, as I listed out in the previous questions. That is obvious.
Right.
But the few things that we, as a lesson, we can take from this disturbance in Bangladesh, and also from the relationship which is affecting us, the few things have come out very clearly, and we got to really take care of them. First is any kind of agitation which takes place domestically, as a front, as a student or farmer or something of the civil society, we need to be very, very watchful that what are the intent of these organizations, who are behind these people, okay, so that we know that genuineness of the agitation, and the government of the day has to be proactive, sensitive in trying to handle them, so that they don't feel any kind of alienation. That is the call of the day for the government of the day. That has to be ensured. Now, having said that, we also have to see that and, that not only from the security, but also how our Hindus today. Now you see in the news that they were under so much of attack in Bangladesh, and they were on the receiving end with the burning, looting, arson, molestation, and so many things happening. All national and international media have been covering it for. So one of the lessons is that if once, like yesterday, they got united, marched to Dhaka, that the interim caretaker, Mr. Yunus, had to come forward and make a statement that we have let down our Hindu population.
He
We
apologized
take
for it.
apologize for that. Their Home Secretary apologized. So that shows the strength of unity, and that is where we is a lesson for us also, that Sanatan within the country, the forces, there are always domestic forces. We have a history of that. There are not only external threat, but there have been enormous amount of internal threats also, who have been always trying to weaken your country. So we have to guard against such elements. They are present all over. Every country has certain degree of it. So our security establishment, our government of the day, have to be aware of these kind of pitfalls, and people, Sanatan people, Hindus in particular, have to understand the lesson that Bangladeshi Hindus have given. That once they got united, all these jihadis forces, Jamaatis, terrorist forces, they all withdrew. Suddenly you find that peace returning in the streets of Bangladesh. So that is a huge basis, that if they remain united and if our people are united, that anti-national elements will take a back seat. So that is one major lesson. Apart from that, I have already covered that our security establishment, establishment have to be proactive. They have to modernize themselves. They have to recalibrate as for the requirements of the day, so that they are able to handle the situation in the best possible manner. That old beaten path cannot be the solution for even every day in modern day. So as for the times, as for the needs, recalibration has to be done, reassessment has to be done, and accordingly modernization in terms of equipment, manpower, training has to be ensured, so that these kind of situations we don't face.
Right, sir. So it is usually said that stories from intelligence agencies should not come in the front news of a newspaper. But this time this has happened. But more importantly, this particular issue is not just about security and intelligence agency. It is also about the people, as sir has already mentioned about it. And it is also about the socio-economic and cultural as well as demographic relationship of India and Bangladesh. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us in this detail and giving us a glimpse of what exactly India is doing and should do in future. So thank you so much, friends. This was India Dialogue from ICPRD. We'll meet you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajat. Thanks for having me here. Thank you so much.